You guys are a team, right? And you're off to a dang good start, yeah? History in the making? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, let me ask you a question. A little bit about myself first, all right? So I played with Justin Curtis, Coach Curtis, in college, and he was an excellent player. He was a freaking animal, all right? But that's for another day. I'll tell y'all some stories, all right? But I don't know, I played professionally for 5 years, and I don't know if I ever saw anybody hit a ball as hard as Justin Curtis. He absolutely mashed a baseball, for real. And he didn't pay me to say that. I got nothing to say that, right? But I played professionally for 5 years, and then I got into the business world, and now I coach businesses or groups of people all trying to achieve one goal, which is a lot like a team, yeah? All right, so what makes a championship team? I need feedback from you guys. What makes a championship team? What are some things that a championship team might have? Yeah. Confidence. All right, remember that. We're going to talk about confidence. What else? That's good. Culture. Okay. Give me one more. Confidence, culture, and let's say teamwork, right? Working together is teamwork. All right. What does confidence mean? All right, so you said it, so hold on. What's confidence mean?
Like having, well, I was going to say confidence, but...
All right, cool. It's okay. I'm proving a point. What's confidence mean? All right, so the reason that I asked that is because we can talk about confidence, but if everybody has a different definition, we're talking about different things. Okay, so let's simplify that real quick. Confidence, it's real simple. It's the memory of previous success. All right, that's how you are confident, because you've been successful in the past and you're leaning on that to be successful now. Right? Which is why practice is so important. Okay? Now, another way that confidence is important is because it's actually a skill. Confident people practice it all the time. Right? Anything that you're good at, it's something you do over and over and over again with success, right? So let me ask you this. Let's see. When you say, I'm good, are you building confidence with that statement? Why not just say, I'm average, man? I'm average. You see what I'm saying? So, all right, let me ask you this. So confidence, what was the other one? We had two more. Teamwork was one. Culture. What's culture?
Having a family as a team.
Family as a team, coming together as a team. All right, cool, that's good. What else? What else is culture?
How we do things.
That's the one right there. Culture is simply how we do things here. That's what defines culture. All right, so as I sit here and I look at you, some of you sit tall in your chair. Some of you are slouched down, right? Culture would be like the best teams. Culture is everything that they do. It's the way they get dressed. It's the way they sit in the classroom, the way they sit in the chair, the way they make eye contact, all those things. Believe it or not, when I spoke last year, I told a story about Michael Jordan and eye contact. And my media team put a clip out. It's been watched over 1 million times, me standing right here, talking about Michael Jordan. And you wouldn't believe the amount of, I'm going to call them Karens, that thought that it was horrible that I told young men that eye contact was important and a sign of respect. They gave me all the excuses as to why, well, they got, ADD, and they gave me all the reasons that a person couldn't look me in the eye for 45 minutes, right? And it's so simple. What is one thing that somebody out here is trying to do right now to get better at their baseball game? What's one skill you're trying to get better at to improve your baseball game? Hitting? All right. So how are you trying to get better at hitting? You're hitting? All right. So if I wanted to get good at shooting a gun, would I just pull it out and close my eyes and go, am I getting better? How do I get better at something? Practice. Well, again, I'm practicing. Don't I got to aim at something? I got to aim at something. I got to have a target to set, right? So what I do for companies is I go out and the first thing I figure out is what problems do you have and what are you aiming at? What are your targets? Once we figure out what their targets are, then we figure out a strategy to get there. And then we have to have things that they can measure to decide if they're doing good. Like, I want to lose weight. Well, how do I know if I'm losing weight or not?
Check yourself on the scale.
You weigh yourself. You got to have something that you can measure. So anytime you're trying to get better at something, you have to have ways to measure your journey to get there, right? Now, but I want you to do one thing for me. My son is 15. You guys might see him this year. He's a freshman. He plays for the Knights Academy team. I love it because I remember my sister, his aunt, is always trying to do something. And one day he looked at her and he said, Nicole, would you try to get a glass of water or would you just go get one? People that you're going to notice this, people that are always trying to do something, they never do it. They're either doing it or they're not doing it. So stop trying and just do it. Does that make sense? Check this out. Teams win and lose together. All right? As a coach, as a consultant, it's really important that you know that like what the team goal is and how do you manage everybody's expectations on that team. All right, so I asked 2 questions. How do you guys, and I want to hear from most of you on this question, how do you decide when this season's over, how will you decide if this was a good season or not? You would say, you had to look back and I had a great time, I was happy with that season, right? So some of the answers might be wins and losses. We might hear playing time, right? We might hear, I got to hang out with buddies, right? So how do you measure, who's my seniors today? I'm going to talk to the seniors for a minute. How do you measure, personally, you, if this was a good season or not?
I would say, like, looking back on last season, if it's progressed over, like coming together as a team. So, like, since we are a third-year program, like, each year progressing and only going forward into building something here. So I wouldn't really put it on wins and losses.
Yeah.
As much I think is, like, are we moving forward as a program to become that?
Okay, good. Who else? Who's another senior? Go ahead.
Kind of like he said, just growing but mostly as a team, trying to build like that culture and starting something new that we're doing here at Liberty Creek and just making sure that we're growing and building a foundation for teams to come.
Beautiful. Who's another senior? Go ahead.
Exactly what he said, just progression.
Good. Guess what? Teams that are all working on the same thing together usually do really well, right? So who's another senior?
Outweigh pros and cons. Cons outweigh pros. It was a bad season. Pros outweigh cons. It was a good season.
What would be an example of pros versus cons, right? So again, like I asked my son's 15-year-old travel team these same questions, all right? Some guys were like, well, what's best for me in my baseball journey right now is I need to develop, which means I need to play to do that. So if I end up sitting the whole season, that's not, I would say that wouldn't be a good season. And then at the same time, some guys are like, dude, it's all about if we win the championship, if we win the championship we want to win, that's what makes it a good season, right? So what are some pros and cons to you?
Con for me is I can't play. I'm injured.
Okay.
Covered, so that would be my con. My pro is I get to hang out with my boys in the dugout.
Boom.
So
Excellent. All right, what's another senior I hadn't hit yet? You? Go ahead. Both of you, got you.
If we just like set an example of the people younger than us, like coming up too, like if like 8th graders came to our games and whatnot, they should like be shown like how it's done.
That's right.
How we act.
Okay, good deal. What about you?
Just like getting closer with everybody and seeing how well we can work together throughout like the whole year. And how
All
we
right.
do as a team.
That's good. So you heard from your seniors, right? So check it out. Some of their answers were the same, but not all of them were the same, right? So do you know what will make this a good season for you before the season starts? Have you thought about that? Right? So how does your GPS work? Everybody, all you guys probably use a GPS on your phone if you're driving. How does that work? Explain to me the process from start to finish to use the GPS.
So you gotta open the app.
Yep, that's right.
You gotta type in the location where you're going.
Yep, all right, so what'd you just say?
You gotta type in where you're going.
Okay, so you got to give it a target.
Yeah.
All right, then what happens?
Click the quickest route.
All right, so you
Whichever
do
route fits you best.
whichever route fits you best.
And then you click it.
Yep. And then what happens? What can that change mid-route in the journey? All right, what would be some things that change that?
Detour, a train,
Got it. But did the target change? All right. So again, you probably didn't plan on being hurt, did you? Right? But the target stays the same. And now all you're going to do is find a different route to get there to help your team get there, just because maybe you can't make that impact on the field. Right? Guys, like every team in the big leagues is full of great players. Yet, how many games? The White Sox lost 100 games last year with big league players. How does that happen? Right? Our own football team here, are they good? But every player's good. They got there. So how does that happen? What's the difference between a championship team and the worst team at the highest level? How well they work together. Common goals. You see what I'm saying? And the best teams are the ones who are able to do that. Okay? So, but again, like you also want to have accountability. Right? So again, if you know his goal and you see him making choices that aren't going to take him there, you guys can help hold him accountable. That's why team sports are the best, because you have built-in accountability. But if nobody knows what's in it for you, how can they hold you accountable? If nobody knows what you bring to the table, how can they hold you accountable? My son's a freshman. I ask all of his 15-year-old teammates. They're all freshmen or 8th graders. Dude, if you get a spot on the varsity squad, I can promise you, you're the last person the coach is looking at. So one, how do you get recognized? And two, if there's something that you're good at, that you're better at than everybody else, at some point in time, he's going to be looking down the bench for somebody to do exactly what it is you're good at. Does he know that that's what you're good at? And whose responsibility is it to tell him? Whose is it? Whose responsibility is it to tell him? It's the player's responsibility. It's your responsibility, right? It's called a relationship, guys, right? You guys all have relationships here, and you have relationships with your coaches. And I can promise you, you guys probably have, if not the best staff in town, they're in the top 3. Your facilities, they got to be the best. I ain't never seen anything like this at a high school. It's unreal. You guys are blessed beyond belief, right? But I heard from the pastor say from the pulpit not long ago, he said, gratitude and entitlement cannot coexist, meaning you can't be grateful for something you're entitled to. All right? What is the common goal of this team? What is the goal of this season for this team? What is it exactly? Win. Win today. Win a region. Is that the common goal? Does everybody know that? Is everybody bought in on that? All right, so if everybody's bought in on that, then when you look back at this season, was it a good season or not? It'll be based on that one thing. Now your coaches can manage your expectations, right? But again, if that's not true for you, would you be honest and man enough to say it? Think about it. The coach's job is to write out a lineup card, but they're writing down your action and your results. They're just writing down what they see. Is the coach's job to put you in, or is the coach's job to win ball games? So, and by the way, I as a coach, I can promise you, I like some players more than others. That's hard to hear sometimes, right? It's just we're all humans, and that's natural. So, but again, whether I like you, I love you, or whatever, if my job is to win this ball game, that really doesn't matter, does it? But if you're hard to like, man, it's hard to see good in somebody when that happens. You know what I mean? So is anybody here entitled to anything? What are you entitled to? You're at a better facility than I ever played in until I got to AAA baseball, right? And you're in high school. It's unreal. It's unreal. So what are you entitled to? Let me ask you this. What are you grateful for? Yeah.
Grateful for the day. Grateful to be here.
All right. That's good. So check this out. A buddy of mine, he goes, he's online. You guys may have seen him before just because he has like 10 million followers online. He goes by the real Brad Lee. He's a buddy of mine and a business partner of mine. He's very, very smart. And he says, Nick, a man's never going to outperform his own self-belief. So if a person has bad belief in themselves, how do they change their belief system? He's like, they have to get new information. It's like, well, what does that mean? He said, well, I used to think fire wasn't hot, so I stuck my hand in it and I got new information. Right? So how do you get new information about yourself when it comes to your own self-belief? Do new things. So at the end of the day, you all woke up today. What's the alternative? So are you grateful?
Yeah.
Every day's a gift. But he said there's two versions of a new day. A new day is you opened your eyes, but you technically could live an old day by doing the same thing you did yesterday. He's like, the greatest gift you can get is a new day, which means you're doing something you've never done before. So when you look back every year on December 31st, if you look back at the other 364 days out of the year, how many new days did you have? Right? So all of you will go on to the next grade next year. That's one new day. And you'll have a last day of the current grade. That's a second new day. Those are given. But how many other new days are going to happen? You only do something new if you've never done it before, which means there's a lot of challenge there. There's a lot of unknown there. There's a lot of risk there. Right? It's not safe and it's definitely not comfortable. Does that make sense? So, all right. So a region championship, that's what we're going for. What is it going to take to win that? Because again, if I want to lose 10 pounds, how am I going to do that? I'm going to say, well, if I do this, 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 and this, and I'll measure myself along the way, I'll get there. So what's it going to take to win a region championship?
We're going to be playing our best when it matters. At the
Yep.
right time, we're going to hang out with our wing out because we ain't going to be scared to lose. We're going to be the best possible team we can at that point in time every single day.
You heard it right there, right? So how can you work on that and measure that? Right? Let's say I wanted to win, let's say I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to make $1 million doing anything. All right? So for me to do that, I have to figure out what it's going to take to get there. Right? So I can check those boxes along the way. So to win the region, just to get to the region championship, how many games will you need to win? Throughout the whole season, on average. Right? So you guys go back and you can say, well, how do I know that? Well, let's look at the last 10 regional championship teams. What was the average number of wins they had per season? That'd be a great target to start with, right? You could even dial it down to how many runs did they average a game? How many runs did they give up a game? You see what I'm saying? Figure out what strengths and weaknesses are. At the end of the day, all you're looking for in an opponent is what their weaknesses are so you can exploit it. Right? And as a teammate, once you find it, then you're telling everybody else in here. Right? If guys one look, every single time to the plate, you tell everybody. If you're still on first pitch fastball, every time down the plate, you tell everybody. Right? So what are some other things that you guys can figure out together so that you know? I mean, again, what's your record right now? So you're off to a good start. Literally history in the making right now, right? So how do you take that 8-1 and make sure that you get to where you're at the table competing for that regional championship? What are some things that you can measure along the way?
How many strikeouts we have in a game?
How many strikeouts you have a game? That's a good one, right? Jeff Forehand used to call it the freebie war, didn't he, Curtis? He said every team that won the freebie war each game won the game. Freebie war would be how many runs did you give up? Walks, errors. We're giving away things versus how many did we take?
Lead off runner on base.
Yep. That's right. First pitch strikes, first pitch strike percentage, all those things, right? Guys, the most powerful tool you have is up here. It took me in my 30s to figure that out. And as much fun as it was beating people with these, this is what makes it fun. This is what makes the game the game. Okay? When you see it at the highest level, they're measuring everything. And everything matters. Even to how many grams of food they're putting in their body at what time of day. You feel me? So, as a parent, as a parent, I think there's two things that decide that I can measure if I'm a good dad or not. If my kids know and love Jesus Christ, and if they know how to make decisions and choices that are in line with their dreams. All right? So my son's pretty ambitious. He's like, Dad, I'm going to play center field at Yankee Stadium. All right? I'm like, dude, I played for a long time. I know zero people. I know a lot of people. I know zero that played center field at Yankee Stadium. So what does that mean? That means everybody that I know, their choices led them not to center field at Yankee Stadium. So if I made the same choices they make, where am I going to be? Is it going to be Yankee Stadium? So again, you got to have targets and things that you can measure. All right? So let me ask you, what is like personally as a not as a teammate, as a player, what are your goals for the season, offensively and defensively? I don't even know what position you play. What position you play? Left field. Awesome. So how do you measure your statistics if it's a good season or not?
Batting average and just no errors in the outfield.
No errors. So, and then what is your goal of playing this sport? Are you trying to get to the next level? You just, looking to learn life skills to go to be used in the workforce when you get out of here? You want to play college baseball? What do you want to do next?
Next level and life lessons.
Next level and life lessons. So the people that I'm around that seem to be the most successful are the best at making choices consistently. So Coach Michael Burt is a buddy of mine, and he's an unbelievable strategist. And he said something from a stage that changed my life. He said, Nick, Olympic athletes don't eat Cheez-Its. Think about how simple that is, but what that means. They're that disciplined. That's it. How does you choosing to eat a goldfish, how does that get you closer to your goal? Huh? And dude, did you guys know that you make on average like 35 to 40,000 decisions a day, but you're only aware of like 30% of those? So the rest of your life is on autopilot. I think I asked some of you guys this last year. When you put your pants on every day, are you right leg first or left leg first? Why? Because you're right-handed. But again, what does that have to do with your feet? Right? So, but do you think about it? Are you like, all right, right leg first every single time, or is it just something that just happens? It just happens. How many other things just happen that aren't in your best interest? And guys, the reason this is important is because you have a common goal together, right? So when you see a dude that could be great and you watch him putting the worst thing he could put in his body before a game, is that going to help him play better? So if you're not even going to be accountable to yourself, can they trust you? Like, as silly as it sounds, guys, if you want to eat Cheez-Its, go for it. I don't eat Cheez-Its. All right, I don't eat goldfish. However, every once in a while, I like to reward myself, but I build those things in. I earned it, right? And it's not setting me back from something. It's a reward. Kind of like when you see the guys and they just won the Super Bowl and they're going out for a night out. That's obviously not going to help them be a better athlete later, but they earned that night. And guess what happens the next day? That behavior stops and they're back into the good stuff, right? That makes them better. I can promise you, 2 out of 3 of you guys I'm going to leave today and you're like, that guy was foolish. Okay? Look, what I do for a living is I break down the playbook of top performers so other people can have success too. I used to think I was the exception to the rule too, and I'm not. To be elite at anything, everybody is freaking awesome, right? And they make better decisions than you. They made better decisions than me. And the moment I started making better decisions and better choices, then all of a sudden I could compete and play at their level. It just is what it is. That's why life's hard. Being poor is hard. Being rich is hard. Pick one. Winning a championship is hard. Losing a championship is hard. Pick one. And you got to go all in on it. But everybody here is dependent on each other. And that's where the accountability comes in. But, what's your name? What is it? Oh, man. Give me Talon. That's cool. Talon. So I remember you from last year because he's got the hair. We got the same color hair. We stand out. Like, dude, you see guys making decisions that aren't going to help you. Right? Do you have a relationship with them to be able to say, hey, man, check this out? Did you think about doing it this way? Did you know, I got some notes for you guys. I don't know if they're, can they use Chat GPT? I know it's frowned upon on a lot of stuff with school. But they all use it probably, don't they?
No.
Well, check this out. I asked Chat GPT. I asked Chat GPT, what do championship teams and leadership have in common? All right, and here's what it said. So first of all, what championship teams, regardless of the sport or industry, share 3 key traits: elite culture and leadership. All right, resilience and adaptability, and unmatched work ethic and preparation. All right, now, great leadership in baseball, whether from a coach, manager, or team captain, boils down to 3 traits: accountability and high standards, okay, emotional intelligence and communication. 0 problems in the history of mankind. Do we look back in the history books and say, dude, that problem happened because everybody communicated too well? It's always a breakdown in communication. That's the only way to manage expectations, all right? And number 3, adaptability and strategic thinking. All right? So what was in common? Culture and accountability. Culture and accountability are what leadership and championship teams have in common. So if this is a championship team, you'll have culture and you'll have accountability. What is everybody accountable to? Themselves. But as a team, what are you accountable to? Do what? So one of the hardest things at the college level is when one of your best players is ineligible because they couldn't get it done in the classroom. Sucks, man. Lets everybody down. Right? So as a teammate that watched a guy make poor choices and he couldn't help me on the baseball field, what could I have done to hold him accountable? I should have been banging on his dorm room door every morning, waking his butt up, shouldn't I? See what I'm saying? That's not my job, is it? I'm not his babysitter. But I could have did it, and I didn't. Would it have helped him? Maybe. Without saying anything, I want you to think about it for a minute. Who on this squad right here could do more, be more? And what are you going to do about it? Isn't that the definition of a good teammate? Questions. Bring me some questions. We've talked about a lot right now. Bring me some questions. I've heard from the seniors. Who else? Who we got in the back? I usually go after the back row first. Y'all are hiding back there. Bring me some questions. Come on.
How about you let the seniors call out some guys they want to ask questions?
Love it.
Trade.
By the way, they pick out the ones they like best, just so you know. You got to have questions. You're thinking about stuff right now, so it doesn't matter. See, you have what's called allodoxophobia, fear of other people's opinions. Right? If you aren't worried about them laughing at you, you've got a question. I've been sitting up here rambling for 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I've probably said something that you're like, man, I wonder what he means by that. Right? I feed off of you guys. Okay? I'm here for you. There's nothing in it for me. I'm here for you. This is what I love doing. I love coming out to winning programs and talk about how to win better. Right? That's what I like to do. Yeah.
Who's like the greatest players that you've ever talked to? Or like greatest like teams?
Greatest teams? Man, the biggest lesson I ever learned was from a guy named Jimmy Hurst, and he actually passed away this past summer through a brain aneurysm. He was 6 foot. He was Aaron Judge size, He had over 300 minor league home runs. He had a short stint in the big leagues, played in Japan. And he was larger than life. And I'll never forget it. It was my first full season, and we were playing in Quebec. And they brought a dude in that threw from like down here. And so I'm in the dugout. I'm like, oh, dang, you know. I don't hit those guys good, everything else. He literally picked me up by my shirt and pinned me up. I mean, I'm like 10 feet off the ground at this point. And he was like, Hyder. He said a whole bunch of words I won't say in here today. But basically, he called me a coward, and he said, you've already lost, right? And he said, if that was my mindset, then just go sit down so coach could put somebody else on the lineup card. Changed my life. Changed my life. He was right. I was already beat before I ever walked out there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, you're never going to outperform your own self-image. So let me ask you guys this. I'm going to ask you all a question. I've taught my son to time block. It's a very powerful skill. If you don't know what that is, basically, when you look at how you plan your day the next day, you look at all the critical tasks you got to do, and you put those on your calendar first. And then you fill in the blanks with everything else. All right? He does that every day. We call it his power list. He writes it down. He has to read 20 pages out of a book, and he writes down what he learned out of those 20 pages. He could go back and look at March 26th from 2 years ago and tell you exactly what he did and when he did it. That's things he can measure. It's very, very powerful. All right? But here's the catch. He has that 15-year-old habit of, like, that alarm goes off, and it goes off for what seems like for days before he gets up, right? So then it's 8:20, 8:30 when he rolls out of bed. All right, check this out. So I asked him, I'm like, why did you write down you're going to get up at 8 if you're not going to get up at 8? I was like, you just lied to yourself. How many times a day do you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it? And here's why that matters. At some point in time this season, you're going to be in the box or on the mound, and you're going to be telling yourself, game's on the line, and I got this. Well, how does your brain know to believe you if you've lied to it over and over and over and over again? Right? You don't have confidence because you don't have the memory of previous success of following through and doing what you said you were going to do. It's one of the hardest things to learn as a man. So why make commitments that you can't even keep to yourself? If you can't keep them to yourself, how can you keep them to all these guys? Right? On an airplane, if you sit in the emergency rows, they're going to say, hey, when the masks come down, put one on you first, because you can't help anybody if you're passed out on the floor. You can't help anybody else out here until you are of a mental and physical health to do so. And if you lie to yourself over and over and over again, you can't help anybody. That was a reality that was hard for me to hear, man. So again, when you learn to make good choices, all right? And again, managing your time is everything. Time is the only currency that we invest that we don't know the current balance. We don't know if tomorrow's going to be here or not. So the worst thing that can happen as a baseball player is you look back and feel like you left something out there. You've all heard leave it all out on the field, right? Well, dude, that means every day. That means over Christmas when it's not baseball season. Because again, the goal of this team, did it happen when season started or did it happen when the last out was made last year? You see what I mean? So I can promise you, those coaches in the back, winning a region championship wasn't something they decided when you got here. Now, here's something that I've learned about leadership, especially for you seniors. You want to win a region championship. So how do you get all those other guys to help you do that? You got to make your dream a part of their dreams. You got to get them on board. You got to figure out what's in it for them. I have to do that with people that work for me. They got dreams that aren't the same as mine, right? My dreams are crazy, okay? Everybody that works for me don't dream that way, but they do dream. And if I figure out what it is that they care about, and I can figure out how to make that a part of my dreams, now we're going in the same place together, right? So those younger classmen, man, what do they want? What do they want from this season? And how do you help them get there? Because that helps you get where you want to go. The reason that I come and do these things is because I want you to think, man. Do you guys know what the purpose of your brain is to do? God put it in there. What's it for? Why do you have it? To think. The purpose of your brain is to keep you alive, and that's it. Not to thrive. The purpose of your brain is to merely keep you alive. So if you want to thrive with it, you have to train it to do so. You have to program it to do that. They literally call, when you watch TV, it's called paid programming. Think about what that means. You're being programmed when you watch it. So you can program yourself. It's called personal development. Do you guys ever read a book that the teacher don't make you read? I didn't for a long time, and when I started doing it, I read by choice. It changed my life. You want new beliefs, you got to get new information, right? So where do you get new information? From people that have already done what you want to do, right? So if you can read a book from somebody that's already achieved greatness at an elite level, there's going to be gold in there that you can use. So that goes to tell you, you chose to read the book or you didn't choose to read the book. That tells me how bad you really want to win. Right? You've always heard first guy here, last guy out. Right? What does that mean? Does that mean you just like to come kill time? Or are you coming in to get stuff done? First guy in, last guy out. Why is that important?
You get the most work.
You get the most work. But that's a choice too, right? You could come and do nothing. See who wants it the most? We were always told, I didn't get it for a long time, we were always told in college, basically like there was an unwritten rule that like we had to sit in the first two rows. I hated that rule, right? Why? Because I couldn't hide in the first two rows, right? I was front and center. I couldn't hide. I couldn't doze off. I couldn't tune out what was going on. I had to be present, right? So I noticed there was a lot of upperclassmen that sit in the front. That's cool. That's cool. Let me ask you guys this. What are you doing well as a team? Where are you winning? Where are you thriving? Defense? Not allowing runs? That's good. Culture's good? It feels good in here. That's why I came back. Right? I get to choose who I get to spend time with, and I like being around winners. Right? That's why I'm here. Right? You guys are winners. The question is do you know it every day? Right? Because how do you keep doubt out of your mind? How do you remove doubt? Success. Confidence. And confidence, how do you get good at confidence? You practice it, right? So this is a fun little fact. I firmly believe that like I'm a horse that you bet on because I'm going to win. But guys, I tell myself that at least 30, 40 times a day. Before I got out of the Jeep over here, Coach Curtis met me at the gate. I waved at him, driving up through. I told myself like 10 times in a row, I'm a horse you bet on. Right? Nobody's above it. Right? Mike Trout talks about this all the time. Every single pitch, you'll see him step out of the box. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath. He's telling himself, I'm the greatest. Not I'm good, I'm the greatest. That means there's nobody better. And because he believes that, that's why he is so good. It's not by accident, right? Bring me some more questions. Seniors, get a question for me. Yes, sir.
How did you go from playing baseball to getting into business?
Great question. It was the worst 10 years of my life. It took me a long time to figure it out. And basically what it came down to was this, is I would go to concerts and see people on stage, and I thought, I can do that. I'd watch my pastor preach at church. I thought, I could do that. I saw all these people doing things that I could do, yet I wondered why they didn't just walk up to me and be like, hey, man, you want to come do this? I had to go earn it just like I did every spot on the baseball field. And for some reason, that didn't translate. I didn't get it. So what I had to figure out is what the reason that I was a sought out after baseball player is because of what I brought to the team. It's what I did for other people. And when I figured out how to apply that in business, right? When people say, hey man, Nick, what do you do? I don't tell them what I do. I tell them what I do for other people. Right? Hi, I'm Nick Hyder. I'm breaking down the playbook of top performers so you can get to the next level too. I own multiple businesses. You won't hear about them all. They're boring. Right? But they all dumb down to one thing. Right? Breaking down the playbook of top performers so you can get to that next level too. Everything that I do is based around that. All right? I got asked, check this out. I hired a business coach. The first two questions they asked me were, what one-word problem do you solve better than everybody else? And I was like, I don't even know. It came down to confidence. How do I help people with their confidence? By breaking down the playbook of top performers so they can get to that next level too. Right? The other question they asked me is where do you make your money and where do you spend your time? And I figured out right then and there that where I spent my time wasn't where I made money. So I was mismanaging a lot of my time. Right? Time management is a skill, fellas. And the guys that are going to be, that may be better than you right now is the key, is they've made better choices. Like all of you are, wherever you're at in life, every choice you've ever made has led you to this exact moment. Whether that's 10 pounds overweight or fit or injured or whatever it may be. Right? You all get a report card that tells you how you're doing in school, right? One thing that I usually ask grown-ups and adults when I'm talking to them, I'm like, all right, so you had a report card in school. After school, how do you know if you're doing, what are your grades? They're like, well, how do you measure that? I'm like, well, what's in your bank account? That hurts their feelings sometimes, if that's your report card. All right? But it's all about application. I think church is a great place to raise a family. I struggle with church sometimes because I sit there with people in a congregation full of folks that I know and I love, and I see them sitting in the same place year in and year out. And I'm like, man, they just heard the same thing that I heard from the pulpit. How are they not ready to go run through a wall? And it's because they're not applying the words that was just spoken to them. The application is everything. I'm telling you guys a lot of stuff today, but if you don't know how to use it, the information I'm giving you is a tool, okay? What would happen if I went and bought a hammer and I went up to a screw to screw it in? Wrong tool. It wouldn't work. I got to know how to use the tool for it to be an effective tool. Okay? All of you have something that's unique, that only you have, that nobody else has. How are you going to use it to elevate the guy next to you? You know what I'm saying? And then again, accountability. When you see guys that could be great, how are they spending their time? What do they do when they go home? Seniors, do you know? I'd want to know. I want to know what they're doing when they get home to make sure that we win that championship together. Leadership is, honestly, I don't know why anybody would want to be a leader. It's a whole lot of responsibility and no pay. Right? Leaders are called, guys. Right? They say it's not for everybody, but I think that it is. My daughter is 4 years old. She'll be 4 in a couple weeks. She's a leader. Why? Because she got one of her friends who had never had chocolate ice cream to try chocolate ice cream. She led that person. She influenced them to try that ice cream flavor. All of you are leaders in one way or the other. But do you know when you lead people to make a decision or you influence them to do something? I want to challenge this up here. You feel me? What else you got? Bring me some questions. Come on. Other good questions.
How do you help a teammate that doesn't want any help?
How do you help a teammate that doesn't want any help? Well, the first thing is who wouldn't want help? Who in their right mind wouldn't want help? And at the end of the day, it's, do you want to be a part of this team or not? right? Because again, you guys have a roster and whatnot, but there's been famous bands throughout time where a band member would be dismissed. Why? Because they weren't a good band, they weren't a good teammate, right? So at the end of the day, do you want somebody on the team that they don't care if you win a regional championship or not? Do you want somebody on your team that's going to be that way? Do you want to see them on the field? I wouldn't. It's a great question, though. What do you think? How would you handle that?
Just keep trying.
You can keep trying for sure. But why? The real question is why wouldn't they? Everybody's motivated by something. Nobody wants to lose, do they?
Maybe they think they're too good for help.
Too good for help? So that's a mindset issue. There's 3 key ingredients to all success. Mindset's number 1, skill set's number 2, and habits are number 3. And they're in that order because you have to have a mindset to be able to obtain the skills to be great, right? Then you got to have the habits to actually get great at them, right? You got to have the skill set to actually be great, and then you got to have the habits to stay great and reinforce that and continue to grow. Make sense? So if they're too good, nobody's perfect, right? Only one man was perfect, and they put him on a cross. You know what I'm saying? So everybody can get better. As a podcast host, I ask every single guest, whether it be Hall of Fame athletes, billionaire business owners, I ask every single one of them, as a host, what can I do to get better? I want to know because I want to get better, right? So the person that don't want help, they're insecure at the end of the day. It's a mindset issue. They have fear of other people's opinions, okay? So that's what you got to attack first to get to the other issue. Make sense? What else? Who else got one?
What
Yeah.
led your way of faith in Jesus Christ? I want to give it that.
Well, it was I won't say it was forced upon me, as a kid, but you find Jesus in other people at the end of the day. That's where if you want to find Christ, you find him in other people. And dude, life is, at the end of the day, I was brought up as in a Christian family, so it was in my roots and whatnot. But even when I talk to people that aren't believers, you could just simply ask, if you're wrong and I'm right, what could happen to you? But at the end of the day, man, it's hard to argue that the lessons that are in the Bible, the lessons of a Jesus-filled life, and by the way, that's where you find your gratitude and your happiness, is from that. So it was a whole lot of losses and a whole lot of being miserable that led me there. You know what I'm saying? So I was there, and I needed to go off and figure some things out, and it led me right back. You know what I mean? So, and at the end of the day, one day, most of you will probably have kids. And that is like the greatest, I think God's greatest gift besides Jesus is a kid, because it changes the way you look at everything. Everything. Because when you're a parent, it's the only time in life you're training the people that you can't live without to live without you. And that's what your parents are doing right now. And it's hard. And by the way, if they're hard on you, if they didn't care, they wouldn't be. Same for your coaches. The coaches that are the hardest on you love you the most, because they could just not say anything. And isn't that a lot easier? You know what I mean? So talk about the guys that deflect everything with humor. Everybody likes them. The guys that deflect everything with humor. Why do they do that? It's because they can't face the reality, right? It's because they can't face the reality. So what can you help them do? Let them say the bad joke that's probably not the best time to say it. Let them get it out. And then be like, now that you feel better, now what? You know what I mean? Now what are we talking about? These are all good questions. Bring it. I want to figure out I want to know when I leave today exactly how you're going to become regional champions this year. That's what I want to know. Yes?
What would you say contributed most to your success on the field or what you're doing now?
On the field, I was good at what I believed I was good at. And I figured out when I was done playing ball, first of all, I didn't quit. I finished. Quitting and finishing, like quitters and finishers look and smell a lot alike. All right? But I think that God hides the beginning of one thing and the end of something else. And if you quit, you don't get the gift. Right? So I was done playing when I was done playing. But what I figured out was, as much like my son, I wanted to catch for the New York Yankees. But I always told myself I just wanted to play pro ball, which is what I did. So I didn't catch for the New York Yankees. I didn't know how to set goals. I set a target that was this big and it needed to be this big. Right? So I was good at what I believed I was good at. And now, guess what? I'm good at what I believe I'm good at. You know what I'm saying? And everything I'm not good at, I invest in those things to get better. Right? So, my sister, I work for me. My sister has a boss. I'll call my sister from time to time. What are you doing? She's like, it's my day off. I don't know what she's taking a day off from. I ain't figured that out yet. Like, why would I take a day off from getting better? Why would I take a day off from personal development? Why would I take a day off from anything? There's something you can do every day. If you're injured, you can lay there and think, and you can see pictures in your head. You can face those pictures that beat you in the past. You can run through things in your mind and grow all day, every day. You know what I mean? There's things that you can do every single day to get better. You can read a book, a good book. The one beef I have with the school system, and I actually had this conversation with Trent back there the other day, who's a very bright individual. He's in college, and he's very good at what he does. I asked Trent, how you going to make money doing that? Are they teaching you that in college? Not yet. Right? That's the application. If you're good at something, well, how do you help somebody else with it? Right? It's what you do for other people. So it took me about 10 years to learn what I'm good at and figure out how to make money doing it. And then it came down to, well, geez, man, that's not enough money. I want way more than that. Right? So then again, I've got to have something, a target to shoot at, and then a way to measure how to get there. All right? When I talk to groups like this, guys, this is real talk. All right? If a company calls me and wants me to do this for an hour, they pay me $10,000 to do that. When I first started doing them, I was begging for people to let me do it. Okay? Until I got better at it. I was like, man, I got some value. Let's charge them $1,000. I started getting $1,000. Man, all right, cool. Now we got a waiting list. 2,500, 5,000. The goal, I don't want to stop at 10. My buddy Brad that I was telling you about, he gets 75 every time he stands up there for an hour. Yep. So he says, Nick, you know why I get 75 grand and you get 10? I'm like, no, Brad, why? Because I asked for 75 and you asked for 10. Right? Fact. Right? But I asked for what I believe in. I feel like I would never ask somebody for something where I didn't feel like I was going to over-deliver in value. Because that's important. Right? That's important. I would never ask your coach to put you in or to put me in if I wasn't going to over-deliver in value. You got to be real with yourself, guys. You know what I'm saying? If your team has a batting average, do you lower the average or do you raise it? Right? So if you lower it, why would you expect him to put you in? You got to be real with yourself. They're only writing down what you do. So if you don't like that, change it. Do something better. They're telling you it's not good enough. Make sense? All these are great questions. Keep them coming. How we doing on time? We good? We good? We good on time? Perfect. Good. Bring me more questions. Did you guys know that at the next level, this is cool that you guys have a meeting room like this. My high school team, we didn't have a classroom setting. Hillsboro. At Trevecca, where I went to school, I remember we had some classroom time, but it was very little. Bible class, right? We took that for granted. At least I did. But did you know that at the pro level, you spend 60% of your time in the classroom on this? So why at the highest level would they spend 60% of their time training this and not the things that it actually takes to play the game? It's hard to be the best, guys. It's hard to be successful at the highest level. And you can only beat your competitor if you're facing your competitor. The problem is you're playing against your competitor, and yourself. You're outnumbered 2-1. Barry Bonds has been talking a lot about hitting lately online. Finally. And he says it all the time. The only person I had to focus on was the pitcher. I didn't let any of his other, he called them goons. I didn't let any of his other goons get in my head. He was like, it was just me versus him. He was like, and if I ripped one right at the second baseman and he caught it, the pitcher's like, yeah, I got you. He said, no, you didn't. I got you. Your dude was just standing there. Right? Your only competition, okay, is the dude standing out in front of you. Because if you do the work on your own, you're not competing against yourself real time. Does that make sense? Dude, it's hard. You're up there trying to beat a guy, and then you got all that doubt in your head. How can you be successful beating him if you're too worried about how you're going to screw up? Simon Sinek says, the brain can't comprehend the negative. So when I was coming up, we were always told what not to do. Don't swing at a ball over your hands, right? Well, instead, they could say, swing at a ball under your hands. Now I know what to do versus what not to do. How can I not do something, work on not doing something? You know what I mean? The brain can't comprehend the negative. Pilots and skiers, they focus on the path, not the obstacles. So a skier is gonna ski into whatever he's focused on. So if he's focused on not hitting the tree, he's gonna hit the tree. But if he focuses on the path, he's gonna hit the path. So when you go up, are you trying not to strike out? Or are you trying to execute a play? Most young hitters they forget that it's a game. At the end of the day, you're up in the box and it's a certain situation. That situation is going to ask you to do something with that bat, whether it be hit it to this side of the field, lay down a bunt, move a runner, or whatever. And if the obstacle is to get a runner over to third base and hit it to the right side, then why are we focused on anything other than picking out a spot over there and just hitting it there? As a pitcher, don't you aim at a target, a small one? When you're throwing a guy out at a base, aren't you aiming at something small? But then when you get in the box, you're going to hit it in this gigantic field. The best hitters are the ones that can, like literally, if you want to hit the ball to the right side, could you not position your body differently to make sure that happens? Why do you have to stand the same way in the box every single pitch? Who said that? Who said that's the way it has to be? Big league guys move around the box all the time. All the time. You can use the whole box. You don't have to just use the 2 footprints where you put your feet. You know, you can throw off all different sides of the rubber too as a pitcher. As a defender, do you have to stand in the same place every single time? Why do you move? Because the situation called for it. Are you aware of that when it happens? When you step foot in the box, are you aware of the situation? Eyes up, please. Are you aware of it? That's what accountability is. They're going to put people in that know the situation and get it done the most. They're the ones who are dependent on the most. My son, they picked a roster to go play in Arizona. They didn't take the whole team. My son's a 9th grader. As an 8th grader, he got to play varsity. As a 9th grader, he didn't get picked to go on that squad. Right? So I asked him, what happened? He said, I don't know. Well, why didn't you get to go? What changed? Dad, I don't know. Well, are you okay with that, or are you going to go find out? Do you know what the coach is needing from you so that you can do that? He obviously chose somebody else to do what you are good at. Why is that? What has changed, and what have you done to lead him to make that decision? Because again, when you give away responsibility, it's his fault. You can't fix it. Everything has to be your fault. Okay? Guess what? I drove up here in a Jeep today. I just got it back because a deer ran into my Jeep. Messed it up. Okay? Dude, the deer literally ran out in the road. We made eye contact. Like I looked into my soul and then ran face first into my Jeep at 40 miles an hour. So, dude, I didn't do anything wrong. But if I blame the deer, I can't fix anything. But I could have left 15 seconds earlier from when I left, and I wouldn't hit that deer. I could have made changes and affected the outcome. Everything's your fault. Everything's your fault. It's always your fault. That's the only way you can fix it. It's your life. This is your life, meaning only you can change it. And if you're waiting on somebody else to do it, like I did for 10 years, you'll still be waiting for somebody else to do it for you. So I'm always looking for people that want to give me a hand up and not a handout. Are you looking for a handout? Or are you looking for somebody that's going to help elevate you to get you to that next place? They're not going to do it for you. How are we going to win a regional championship this year, guys? What's it going to take? Let's figure it out right now together, and I'll be done. A lot of heart. I don't know how to measure a lot, because a lot to him may be 10, a lot to him may be 1,000,000. I don't know how to measure a lot, so let's figure that out. How much heart? How many hours? How many wins? How many stolen bases? How many freebies? What's it going to take to win a regional championship? And when you know what that is, then you can ask yourself, am I actually willing to do that or am I not? And that's when it gets real. Do you know what it's going to take to win a regional championship? And it's hard to say that, because if you hadn't won one before, how do you know? You know who does know? They're sitting in the very back there against the wall. They know. Right? And they wouldn't have set a target that you couldn't achieve, by the way. Facts. So what's it going to take to win a regional championship? You're 8-1 right now. You're off to a good start. Okay? What's it going to take? What's your last name? You look familiar as hell. What is it? Lee? Have I seen you before? Man, you look real familiar. Are you left-handed pitcher? No. What position you play? Short and pitch. I know him from somewhere. I've seen. What grade are you in? Junior? You're too old to be played against you. I don't know. You look familiar though. It's good to be remembered, man. You know what I mean? What's it going to take to win a regional championship? How many wins is it going to take? Has there ever been a regional champion that won less than 15 games? Okay. Has there ever been a regional champion that won less than 20 games? It's something to figure out, right? Guess what? You can go back and look. Everybody that won the region and what their record was. Right? And the cool thing is, you can figure it out right here. All of you got one. Right? Cool. So once you figure out how many wins is it going to take? All right, what else do you need to measure? Errors. How about innings? How many innings can you win? Most of the time, a game is won or lost by the team that either wins the most innings in a game or the team that has the biggest inning in the game. We're always told, stop the bleeding. You give up an 8 spot, you might not win that game. Doesn't matter if you win the other 6 innings. If you lose that one by 8 runs, it's really hard to win the game when you won those, right? So how many, do you think you can win? Can you win 70% of the innings you play from now on? And if you did win 70% of the innings that you play from now on, do you think your record's going to be pretty good? All right, cool. See how we're starting to set smaller targets? It's really easy to say, did we win or lose that inning? Right? You can look at the scoreboard and tell. All right, freebies. Things that you give away, bases, runs, walks, errors, all those things. Can you track those? You can say, all right, we gave away this many. Did we take more? You can measure that. You can all look yourselves in the mirror and say, what's one thing that I need to be better at in this game? Whether it's like, it takes me 14 days to get from one base to the next when I'm running. Okay? It could be like, I'm when I throw it to first base across the diamond, it has to bounce 3 times and I need to cut off man from short. It could be a lot of different things. What's one thing that you could do? It might be grades, man. It might be grades. You're always in trouble. Whatever it may be, what's some things that you can do, each one of you, to strengthen your biggest weaknesses, to get better, to help everybody in here? Friends come and go, guys. Teammates are forever, right? I see Curtis 3 or 4 times a year, and every time it's just like it was 20 years ago. teammates are forever because you guys are going to war every day. And, dude, every time you step foot on the field, somebody bleeds. Sometimes it's your teammate. Sometimes it's you. It's usually the other guy. Right? That's the catch. Everybody you're going to face has a weakness. Everybody here should be trying to figure out what that is so you can exploit it all day, every day. And when you're worried about beating that guy, that removes the doubt that you're going to have in yourself. Okay? My son's a ninth grader. I've said it multiple times. Dude, like I watched, like he played in a tournament. He played at 9 o'clock this morning. And he's playing on both varsity and JV. So in the JV game, it's not baseball. Everybody out there is just, nobody steps up and leads. And the coach is like, I can't watch this much longer. You know what I mean? Why? Because they're a whole bunch of young kids that haven't had success and believe in themselves yet. They're all out there trying not to mess up. And if you're trying not to mess up, you're definitely not trying to beat that guy. You can only do one thing. Are you trying not to mess up, or are you trying to beat that guy? So let's come back to the regional championship. Nobody's got their phones probably. Coaches, how can we figure out what's the average, like the last 3 teams win a regional championship, what their records were? How do I figure that out?
Let's see, last year about 26. I think the year before was Heritage again. It was around 23 to 26. And so that would be 3. You're looking at 23 to 26.
23 to 26. Guess what? 8 of them are already down. You're 1/3 of the way there. Right? What happens if your number 1 pitcher goes down injured? How are you still going to get there? Again, remember the GPS? Your goal doesn't change when you have to reroute. So that means somebody's going to have to pick that guy up, isn't it? Somebody's going to have to step up and fill that role. Who is it? Who is it? Guys, that's what this is, man. You're a family, and you bleed together. You celebrate together. You win together. When I played my last game as a senior in college, I didn't know if I was going to get to play anymore. At that time, that was my last game, and he was the first guy that came up to me and hugged me. We were both crying because that was my last game. Right? I could no longer play anymore. I was 22 years old, and the thing that I love most was gone. Some of you have a couple years left, maybe. Some of you, this might be your last year. And I promise you, every time you play after this, it don't mean nothing. It's some men's league somewhere. And it's fun, but it don't mean anything. This means something. There's a whole school behind you. There's a community behind you. There's parents behind you. There's boosters behind you. Look at the money in this place that's behind you. And they're dependent on you. Are you worthy? It's going to take 23 wins. 23 wins. 1 game at a time. When's your next game? Tomorrow. That's number 9. What's your part in that? What's your part in that? You feel me?